welcome back to the Retro Review. I am the Beta Geek. Joining me as always is Mikey the Freak. And Steve. Oh, nope, it's Bebo. He's back. How you feeling, Bebo?
I am about back to 95%.
Awesome. Today we will be reviewing the 1996 movie Twister. Mikey the Freak, why don't you tell us a little bit about this movie?
Yeah, so I'm gonna read IMDb. It's Bill and Joe Harding, which is played by Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt. Advanced storm chasers on the brink of divorce. Dun, dun, dun. Must join together to create an advanced weather alert system by pulling themselves in the crosshairs of extremely violent tornadoes. You know, that kind of it kind of sums it up.
Yeah, it summed it up pretty well.
It did.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much more to this movie.
Not really.
But that's kind of that's kind of the gist of it. You know, Bill.
That's
Paxton,
like the science portion of the movie, but it doesn't get into like the inner relationships of the characters.
Yeah. I mean, Bill Paxton, that plays Bill Harding, how original. He's on he wants to get married again to Jamie Gertz, which is a Melissa, which who wouldn't want to marry Jamie Gertz? I mean, come on.
And she's a sex therapist.
Yes,
right.
Yes, she is.
Right, because she did not fall in love with his penis.
Those conversations were always interesting when she's talking on the phone. So he wants to get a divorce, so he has to come back out to Oklahoma and have her sign the papers, and come to find out, he became a weatherman, and he wants to settle down and marry Melissa, and just be tied down, and he doesn't want to have all that excitement and chase anymore. But then when he actually goes out and finds Helen Hunt, which is Joe, he realized that he really missed it, and they get into that big major tornado that really shook up Jamie Kurtz's character, and realize that she can't do it anymore, and he's really in his wheelhouse. This is what he's meant to do. He's not meant to be an anchor man. But you see a huge cast of characters with Carrie Elways playing kind of their adversaries. With he started with them, all right, and then kind of went on his own, just in the movie. Because unfortunately, Bill Paxton, he passed away a couple years ago, so it's kind of disappointing. And the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman also passed away, 2014. So it's got a great cast of characters that you kind of see it where they branch off. The Carrie Elways' competitor, the competitiveness of him wanting to be the first. He gets all his corporate sponsors, and
as Bill Paxton said, he's in it for the money, not the science, right. And you can tell that.
Correct. Yeah, and you got Bill and Helen Hunt's characters. They're really in it to save lives or to save people. So there's a lot of the scientific part of it, and what I thought is really fascinating about this movie is that they go into a lot of not just about the science, but they explain stuff. Like, I never knew what the Fajita scale was.
The scale was, neither did I until I saw this. Yeah,
until I watched this movie, and I'm like, I was only 16 when the movie came out. So I know about tornadoes, and you get them some here where we're at in Florida, but not as much as they get them in hurricane or tornado alley, is what they call.
Yeah,
Florida gets hurricanes.
Yeah, we get a lot of hurricanes.
Yeah, which can be equally destructing. However,
more of a warning system.
Yeah, exactly. We know it's coming. We've known for days. It's coming.
Exactly.
Then it could just
plan the party.
Yeah, and then I like to take a detour.
Yeah. So basically, the premise behind Helen Hunt's character is developing this warning system to save other people's families, because at the beginning of the movie, you see she loses her dad because they really had no time to react. they ran to the storm cellar, and towards that last second, boom, he got killed and lifted off. So she spends her entire life trying to understand these tornadoes and develop the Dorothy system with the ball to try to have it,
measure
into the tornado,
into the tornado and actually take measurements from inside the tornado so we can better understand exactly, what causes them and understand them a little better so we can get an earlier warning system.
Yeah, so the development of the movie, kind of understanding like why they've done this, why she has spent her whole life doing this with her husband at the time, Bill, to save everybody, and then you have where it kind of shows that when they want to get this Dorothy system off the ground and running, they run into issues here and there, and they try to have to figure out how to make them fly. And then it comes down to it where it hits home where they're I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it was May.
Aunt Meg.
Meg, yeah. So when Meg's Wakita gets hit, the city of Wakita gets hit, and they really had no warning system. It's kind of they put their foot down, like, we've got to figure out something now. We've been trying to do it. We can't figure something out. Let's put our heads together. And then they come up with the tin can solution to make the propellers and make them fly. So, I've always enjoyed that part of it, without going into, my review so much of it. But so Bebo, so tell me a little bit about what you thought of the movie without going into your rating.
But the movie itself, I thought, was extremely
educational.
Pretty much,
word. That's a good word.
Educational. That's a good word. I was gonna say it made me learned stuff, but yeah, it's educational.
It was good. It was good.
It was a good movie, but it does teach you a lot about stuff that you wouldn't have known, especially back then when I first saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I loved about this movie is after this movie came out, that's when we got all those Storm Chaser documentaries and shows and stuff like that on like Discovery and everything. Every time you turn it on, you're like, if you just see a bunch of people chasing after storms and what they're going through, and it's not really the same as what you saw in the movie.
They're like, I want to do that.
Yeah, like, and there is some stuff in the movie that's a little far-fetched, but I mean, it's a movie. You're gonna have that. Yes, them being the fact that it's gonna lift a truck but leave them, that's bullshit.
And the fact that they drove through the house with that, they drove through the house with without basically hitting and stopping on any studs or any kind of structure.
It was a four-wheel drive,
like fucking paper. Whatever.
Okay, now I will like to say this because I made this comparison when my parents watched this because it was actually on TV not too long ago, and my mom loves this movie.
Yeah.
I work in the insurance field in car insurance. It makes me laugh so much harder now when at the beginning she loses her truck and she looks at Bill Paxton and goes, so you got full coverage on the truck? And he goes, liability only. I understand that so much more now to where I'm just like, oh, he is so fucked during this entire movie.
Speaking of when they go through the house, I think it's right before or right after they hit like a crane, like there's a crane arm or something that hits the side window.
The cracks there, then it's not there, and then it's that drove me nuts.
I couldn't unsee it. Like I knew it was there and I couldn't unsee it. Like you see the window shatter with the spider webs and stuff, and then the very next scene, it's gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
I was like, oops, it wasn't
my favorite part about them going through the house. So, and if you pay attention, that when they're driving through it, they're technically driving up the staircase. So there's not really a beam for them to hit.
Okay. Yeah.
But the overacting of Bill Paxton going, "We're going in." That part made me lose my shit. Because I'm just like, nobody would have ever have said that in real life. Everybody would just be the most you would have heard would have been like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, exactly.
The house lands in front of you. You know you got to go
brace yourselves.
Yeah.
I may have used a different word, but okay.
Yeah. But the movie itself was good. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman in this movie. You know, it was the introduction to him for me. And I love the character of Dusty. That dude is like my spirit animal. I'm not gonna lie.
Food.
And
Food.
Substance.
And I also, sustenance. We crave food. But no, I also loved how he described Bill Paxton's character, like the way he was before we got introduced to him, where they called him the extreme. Because he just walked out butt naked and tossed the bottle. He's like, and it never hit the ground. And he's like, there was another Bill, an evil Bill, and I killed him. I loved him. You know, it was the movie itself. It has not only the science aspect, which was really neat learning about stuff, but it actually had a decent storyline in it to me. So I liked it. What about you, Bearded Geek?
When I watched this movie, it was like rewatching it for the first time all over again. There were so many things I had forgot about this movie that everything felt new again. The visuals on this movie were fantastic. Even the flying cow that came around twice was I loved it.
I think it's the same cow.
Yeah, we got another cow. Yeah. No, I think that's the same one.
Even with them driving through the house and stuff, and the way that they shot that final scene where they're looking up into the F5, you really think that that's exactly probably what it looks like. Something very similar. So I thought visually this movie was stunning. I thought that it had a great story. It was somewhat science. I mean, old technology now, some of the computers and stuff, but back then that's what they were. So you gotta kind of.
I did love seeing like the laptops they used in this thing.
Oh yeah, and the big phone, and the brick phone, the brick cell phones. It was easy to follow. You didn't really have to think too much about it because they kept you along each beat. So I enjoyed it. So let's go ahead and move on to ratings. Mikey the Freak, this was your movie. Why don't you give us your rating on it, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I felt that all the characters or all the actors that portrayed their characters very well. They did a fantastic job. And like you said, this was one of the first movies, I think the first movie I did see Philip Seymour Hoffman in. And, you know, kind of to me, I thought this might have catapulted the rest of his remaining career to open up to new roles. But Helen Hunt was fantastic. Bill Paxton. You know, even Jamie Gertz with the supporting role for that little bit of time she's in the movie. You know, she was even funny. She was even funny with her being a sex therapist.
Yeah.
So you know, they kind of all meshed very well together. Storyline was great. Yeah, I thought it was fascinating. I watched a documentary where they took how they filmed it and they hooked them up to that pipe and they turned them upside down. So they were hanging from it, and then they shot it from that direction. So they, you know, they were basically holding on like this, looking down like this at it. But when they shot it, it actually looked like they were looking up into it. Yeah,
that's cool.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Didn't mean to take that from you, Bebo, if that was part of your thing. But yeah, every bit of this movie was just absolutely fantastic for me, and I'm rating it a 9.5. This is probably one of the highest ratings I've had, just because of everything. I could sit here and watch this movie over and over again. I can recommend it. I don't think it is a dated movie other than like the technology part. But even then, it's kind of fascinating how the Dorothy 2 took flight and it kind of sent all the little balls into the F5 and all the readings started coming up. So I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. You know, very informational, educational, and very entertaining. What about you, Bebo?
I'm right there with you. I would give it also 9.5. I don't know that I'll ever give a movie a 10, but this is one of the higher movies. Like you said, this is a movie I can watch anytime. It's definitely one that like if I'm scrolling through the channels and it's on, I can guarantee you I'm stopping because I do like this movie a lot.
Absolutely.
You know, the science part of it actually was very interesting to me, especially the first time I saw it. It made me start reading up actually on tornadoes and stuff. So it was a little, it got my science part of my brain lit up, and then the food side took over again, and I lost the science part.
That was a very educational way you described that.
I know. Thanks.
Yeah.
Made my science brain blow.
I'm from Polk County. Leave me alone. But no, the movie itself very educational, but also very fun. It had drama. It has a shit ton of comedy throughout it. And like we said, my favorite character in it is going to be Philip Seymour Hoffman. Dusty in the barn burner, in the little school bus, which is where I'd be. But
the short bus, we understand.
The short bus. But it was just overall, it was an excellent movie. The special effects in it were decent for when it came out.
Yeah.
And one thing I remember is, as we've said before, we live near Orlando, Tampa, but at Universal Theater or Universal Theaters, Universal Studios here, they had a Twister ride there that I remember going on. And I was like trying to figure out how they're going to make this a ride. And all I remember is that you go in there, they made stuff fly around like you're in a tornado and stuff. And then the thing that scared the shit out of everybody is the floor would drop at the very end.
Yeah. It was more of wasn't really a ride. It was more of an experience.
Yeah. It was like when you go to like one of those FX type of shows where they're showing like how stuff is kind of done.
Yeah.
But it was it was interesting. I enjoyed it. But when the first time I went on there and that floor dropped, I ain't gonna lie, I may have slipped and cussed in front of my parents. But it was a great movie. I loved it. I'd definitely give it 9.5. What about you, Bear the Geek?
A great movie, visually stunning, very funny throughout. I'm not gonna give it a 9.5. I'll give it a 9 only because I'm gonna knock it half a point because of Carrie Elway's horrible accent. I did not.
I thought he was gonna be like, because there's no breast in it.
No,
but it's close.
He was trying to do a Midwestern.
He was in the shower.
He was trying to do like a Midwestern Southern accent type thing, and it
just did not.
It didn't work at all. So.
Not for him, no.
No, not for Carrie.
We've seen him in so many like British type accents, and
it just threw me off bad.
Yeah.
It threw me off way off. So, it's a 9 still, very highly rated. I'd recommend this to anybody. This was actually one of the few movies I actually found Helen Hunt gorgeous in.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I would say that as well.
A thing.
Yeah,
I used to have a thing for Helen.
Like Hunt. I never even when she was on, what was that show she was on? Mad About You.
Yeah.
Like I used to watch that and I was like, she's okay. But like when I saw her in this, I was like, pretty damn hot, you know?
Yeah.
This was one of, like I said, the few movies that I found her very hot in. 9 for me. I really have nothing else to say that you guys haven't. I mean, stunning movie, excellent choice. Bebo, do you have any trivia?
I got a few things here that I thought were interesting. As we know, one of the main characters is played by Bill Paxton. He died in 2017. Spotter Network choreographed 200 storm chasers to spell out BP with their GPS tracker blips on a radar display to honor him. The kind of tribute had only been done 5 times before, and it was the first time it was done for someone who wasn't actually a storm chaser. So I thought that was kind of cool. This was the first movie released on DVD and the last released on HD DVD before they went to Blu-ray. Filming in Oklahoma was actually briefly delayed due to the bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City back in 95. And many of the crew actually went to the site to help with the recovery efforts, which I thought was kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
That is very cool.
And this is just one little thing that I thought was kind of funny. So, when the storms there, the tornadoes are there and they're making the sound of, the actual storm, a recording of a camel's moan was slowed down and used as the sound of the tornado.
Okay.
Nice.
I was just like, what? Okay.
They said it sounds like a freight train, which I have heard. We have had a tornado close to our house here, and it did have that kind of that, like that rumbling.
Yeah.
So when I heard it on the, here now, and I've heard it on the show or on the movie, I'm like, that doesn't sound like what a tornado is supposed to sound like. Now, maybe in Oklahoma, yes, maybe, but I've never heard it here. It's weird.
Okay.
And if you really want something about Philip Seymour Hoffman, in an early scene with Philip Seymour Hoffman where he's sitting on a lawn chair, he lifts his leg in the air while laughing, and his genitals were fully visible for a split second. It was edited out of the DVD and VHS releases, but it was leaked from VHS screeners sent to industry professionals.
That's hilarious.
But that's just a few of the things. But you can go online; they have a lot of stuff for this movie.
So I got one that you guys, I don't know if you would have found it, but it's in relevance to the ride, Twister Ride It Out at Universal. So me and my wife were there on the very last day that the ride closed. And they had, it was pretty awesome. So towards the end of the day, I think the park closed, I think it was like 6:00 that day. And we were about to head out. We rode it the very last day. So we rode it on the last day that it closed. And they actually had a get together. They were having employees or customers or guests, basically, that they dressed up like Helen Hunt's character and as Bill's character from the movie, and they took a huge picture in front of the Twister Ride It Out sign right there at Universal. I'd have to find it. It's hard to, I have to go back on the Universal Orlando's fan page and stuff to find it, but I'm sure it's on, I don't know if YouTube might have videos.
Maybe.
Or I'm sure there's pictures out there for that day, but it was so cool that they're all in the khakis and the jean shirts and denim pants and from the ride and from the character from the movie. And they were all in front and they took a huge picture. I thought that was pretty fascinating to be there on the last day of the ride.
Definitely.
And to ride it. That was fun.
Well, I got a little bit of movie memorabilia. First item is a vintage Twister VHS movie from 1996, factory sealed. You can have it today for $500.
Sold.
Or a Twister movie Flying Cow Plus Universal Studios 16-inch wings with goggles cow for $250.
And I wish I still had mine. No.
Or you could get a Twister movie HBO promo globe, very rare, hard to find, promotional item for $99. That is all I have.
That would be a cool thing to have.
That is all I have for movie memorabilia. How about you, Mikey the Freak, for some related reels?
Yeah. So I have, of course, there's several A actors in there. I went with kind of the three that we've been talking about the most. We can start with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Again, one of the first movies I've seen him in. But some of the related work, as everyone knows, Capote. He did Truman Capote's basically autobiography movie. An amazing movie, and I think he actually won an Academy Award for that.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think he did.
I think so. He was I'd say a small role, but basically a role in Hunger Games, the last two Hunger Games.
Nope.
And then he's always been a huge supporting actor. There hasn't been really a lot of movies like him by himself, other than Capote, and that's kind of why I mentioned that one. But the last one that I really like him in is Boogie Nights. I know I had to go there. I'm sorry, I had to go there. Which you could probably see as nuts in that one too. But either way, so the next one, I'm gonna go with the late Bill Paxton. Your main character. Huge, again, a small role, but a huge movie, which is Titanic. Very small role at the beginning, at the end of the movie. But yeah,
I actually forgot he was in that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Such a huge movie, but yet such a small part in the movie. It's so crazy. Apollo 13, another great movie by Bill Paxton. There's so many that he has. I know Bebo's favorite, Tombstone. He was in the movie Tombstone. One of my favorite movies, Club Dread by Broken Lizard.
Oh my God. I think you mean Pina Colada Berg.
Pina Colada Berg, yes. I love Coconut Pete. And then another great movie around that same time frame. Well, I'm sorry, around the time frame, our 80s time frame, is Weird Science, where he played their big brother Chet. So again, one of those funny type movies, but great movies either way to watch. And then the last actress I got would be Helen Hunt. Oh, you did find it. Let me go. I'm going to do this one. My wife actually found the picture.
Yes, we saw her. We saw her slightly in frame.
Oh, did you? Just a little bit?
Yeah. There's some front parts poking into frame.
So can you get that? Can I get that extra half point, Bearded Geek?
No. No, it was closed. It was closed.
Yeah, it was covered. It was there, but it was covered. You're not getting the extra half
I got you. All right, back to it. Let's go. Oh, sorry, squirrel.
Cam, come back.
So Helen Hunt, what we talked about, Mad About You, which we talked about in the past. She did that for many years.
Yeah.
She kind of got stuck in that. What Women Want was always a good movie with Mel Gibson. If you haven't seen that one, one of the two older ones that I liked her in, Project X with Matthew Broderick.
I love.
If you haven't seen that one,
movie.
that was a good movie with the sign language chimpanzee, and then Quarterback Princess. So if you haven't seen that movie,
I've never even heard of that movie.
Yeah, so I've seen it years and years ago, but she plays a high school teenager that wants to try out for the quarterback or try out for the football team. And she becomes a quarterback, and it's one of those to where they don't want women to play football, and so one of those stories that they've repeated over and over and over again with girls playing football type. But it is a cute movie, The Quarterback Princess. But that's all I got. Let me show you I did find the picture, and this was in.
I don't think you did.
Yeah, no, I didn't. February 26th, 2017. They posted this picture after Bill Paxton had passed away. And they all dressed up. It's kind of trying to see if I can show it. So they dressed up as their characters in front of. Let's see if I can get the.
That's cool. A little
Twister right out, right there in the front.
That's
so
cool.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. So we were there that day for the last ride, and that was a pretty cool experience. And we're like, every time we see it, we're like, oh yeah, we were there that day.
That's awesome.
So
that's very cool.
That's all I got.
All right, well, as we come to a close, do all the YouTuber things. Give us a thumbing, hit that like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell us what you thought of this movie, because I know you've seen it, because it's older than dirt, because we're older than dirt. So leave a comment, tell us what you think. So I do believe that does it for this episode of Back to the Retro Review. For Mikey the Freak and Bebo, I am the Bearded Geek saying, keep it retro, everybody.
See ya.
Peace.